Shedeur Sanders went undrafted. A surprise, if not a shock.
Under no circumstance, we all know this shouldn't have happened. Tomorrow's the day. We're going to be happy regardless.
One of the truly stunning stories in the history of the draft.
You have Shedeur Sanders sliding straight in to Saturday. Nobody knows where he's going to go.
With the 144th pick, the Cleveland Browns select Shedeur Sanders.
Take a minute, be upset that you fell in the draft, but I think now you attack this opportunity and prove everyone wrong.
Thank you for the fans, thank you for everybody, thank you for the Browns organization for giving me a chance. That's all I need.
So on top of all of that weirdness, there was also the prank phone call, the one where the caller identified himself as the Saints general manager, Mickey Loomis, and then told Shedeur, "We're drafting you." Except it wasn't Loomis. In fact, it wasn't anyone associated with the Saints. It was the son of the Falcons defensive coordinator, Jeff Ulbrich, a 21-year-old named Jax, who allegedly, and I quote, unintentionally came across Sanders' draft contact info on an open iPad while he was visiting his parents. Jax then very intentionally wrote down the number, very intentionally planned the call, and then recorded said intentional call. But Jax is sorry. He's now apologized to Sanders and released a social media statement saying it was a tremendous mistake, completely inexcusable, embarrassing, and shameful. And then there are the Falcons. They said in a statement that Jax's father, their defensive coordinator, Jeff, was, quote, unaware of the data exposure or any facets of the prank and was made aware of the above only after the fact. The Atlanta Falcons do not condone this behavior and send our sincere apologies to Shedeur Sanders and his family. The Falcons say they're also reviewing their protocols and are working with the NFL to keep this kind of thing from ever happening again.
Shedeur Sanders should have been drafted by the New Orleans Saints. Why? Because they drafted Tyler Shuck out of Louisville. Now, I'm not trying to doo-doo on Tyler Shuck. I just want everybody to know that. Or any other quarterbacks, the 5 quarterbacks that were drafted in the first 3 rounds before Shedeur Sanders. The team loved those guys. I'm happy they got drafted. But even Saints players like Cam Jordan are questioning why the Saints drafted Tyler Shuck over Shedeur Sanders. And I know Tyler Shuck's got a lively arm. I remember him at Oregon. I remember him at Tech. And I remember him at Louisville. But Tyler Shuck was teammates with Saints tight end Jawan Johnson 6 years ago at Oregon. Tyler Shuck will be 26 years old in September. That means if you've got Derek Carr, who we know has a shoulder injury, in case you didn't know. He has a shoulder injury, and he might not be able to play this season. But if I know the Derek Carr that I've known over the years, he's going to do everything in his power to play. So now you draft Tyler Shuck, knowing that he's going to be sitting 1 to 2, maybe even 3 years. By that time, he'll be 29 years old. Shedeur Sanders is 23. Shedeur Sanders was the right pick for the Saints for a plethora of reasons. 1, his tape shows that he was a first-round pick, so he would be a steal. 2, he's 23 years old. If he sits for 1 to 2 to 3 years, he's maximum going to be 25, 26 years old. And you give him a chance to grow and develop. And 3, the head coach of the New Orleans Saints, Kellen Moore, played a style of football that required timing and rhythm, anticipation. So if there was any quarterback that he knew he could work with that was similar to him and how he processed the game, because he doesn't have this howitzer of an arm, it would be Shedeur Sanders. So I don't understand that pick at all. It's a bad pick.
All right, after a full day removed from the draft, maybe it's time to put a final bow on what we saw there in Green Bay. To do that, we bring in our draft analyst, Matt Miller. All right, so, of course, Travis Hunter's been saying this forever, that he wants to play on both sides of the ball, offense and defense. So let's say he does do that, though, Matt. Where should he play, though, primarily?
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. You have to major at one position before you minor at another. I would say wide receiver is where you play him. I think scouting him over the course of the year, that's where I thought he was best. He's incredibly explosive with the ball in his hands. He dominates. For a 6 foot, 185-pound guy, he dominates at the catch point. Every ball that goes up in the air, on offense or defense, he seemingly finds a way to go get it. He's so great at tracking the ball, adjusting his body. but watching him with the ball in his hands after the catch, that first 5 yards, he's so explosive, he's so slippery as a runner. The NFL right now is a scoring league. We need more great wide receivers. When you have Trevor Lawrence, you have Brian Thomas Jr. And oh, by the way, when receivers are making $40.5 million a year, I think I'd want to be playing offense if I'm Travis Hunter.
All right, he scored 15 receiving touchdowns last season for Colorado, so clearly he's an A-caliber player at that position. How about this? 5 years from now, Matt, who's the player we're going to look back on and say, we can't believe he was not drafted higher?
I'm not going to say the player you guys think I'm going to say here. I'm going to go Luther Burden, a wide receiver now with the Chicago Bears from the University of Missouri. I had him ranked as my number 13 overall player in this draft. He slipped to the Bears at number 39, and he now gets to join an offense with DJ Moore, with Rome Odunze, Colston Loveland, Cole Kmet, and someone named Caleb Williams, who was a generational talent at quarterback in last year's draft. This is an ideal fit in Ben Johnson's offense. Burden was the best wide receiver in the draft. Luther Burden can be a similar type player for the Chicago Bears, and this is a great young cast of players that Johnson gets to work with. But Burden is one of the steals in this draft, fantasy football players. You'll want to remember that name.
Matt, I know this is part of your job description, but I've always been hesitant about giving grades to draft classes because you really can't judge them until they get on the field and play 2, 3, 4 years down the road. But let me ask you this. Let me phrase it this way. What was your favorite draft class by one of the 32 teams?
Yeah, I'm going to go to the Philadelphia Eagles, which the rich get richer, right?
Yeah.
Right after beating Patrick Mahomes and maybe ending the Chiefs dynasty, Howie Roseman gets one of my favorite players to draft in Jahad Campbell, who slips because of a shoulder injury. He can play like a souped-up Zach Bond. He can play edge rusher, linebacker in the stack. He can chase quarterbacks, and he can drop into coverage. He is an ascending player whose best ball is ahead of him, which sounds like every Eagles player ever. And then in the second round, they got a hard-hitting safety in Andrew Makuba, who's also a ball hawk with 4 picks, last year.
All right, so I don't like to grade draft classes, but I will grade your segment here on SportsCenter. Solid A, my man. Solid A.
Appreciate it.
Matt Miller here on SportsCenter.
I give you an A2, Eves.
I'm not done yet. I got time to mess it up.
We got 18 minutes left in this show. You guys had opinions, not on the draft, but on old things that happened in sports today.
Xin chào các bạn, mình đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Hôm nay mình sẽ tiếp tục hướng dẫn các bạn làm vòng với tiêu đề là hoa hồng sát.
Đây là mình đang quay xong anh Luna. Các bạn đăng ký kênh và like để ủng hộ giúp mình nha.
Công nhận cái này lọc nhanh tuyệt đời. Lọc hơn một tí.
Cụ thể là mắt không đầu.
Lên.
Cụ thể là mắt không đầu.
Bỏ răng rồi.
Mà cởi ra đi chúng mấy. Cởi ra chúng mấy.
Đúng rồi, lên một thằng bà đi.
Biết đâu mà cái cởi to to này. Mà cái bên kia này. Đấy.
Con nó có anh ngủ với bà đi.
Chị ơi.
Trên tầng mà thì có mọi người, đây là màu trắng.
sáng đến 11:03. 4:30.
Hay lắm nha.
Có hơn 5 tiếng. Có 4 chấm hay 4 phải gì?
Không phải.
Đồ đấy chả anh. Chả anh. Em về thôi. Mà cái dàn của Phong nó nhớ giữ đi nha.
Bất thủ.
Nó đem đến không phải về đâu.
Kệ đi.
Mình làm mất như này đấy.
Nó đi đâu ai biết được, nó tự chạy đi.
Nó chạy vào tay anh.
Nó tự chạy.
Con người em ngủ từ mấy giờ?
Qua 1 giờ em ngủ.
Ở đây ngủ.
1:30.
Kết thức tỉnh tận 1:30.
Quen kiểu em quen mắt thôi hay là
Nằm bảo 12 giờ không ngủ, 12 có xuống đến 1 giờ, 12
không biết kiểu quen mắt hay là kiểu mấy hôm nay em uống cà phê sáng sau em buồn ngủ đêm sao ấy. Em uống cà phê vào ấy, em buồn ngủ lúc mà em uống á, sau em mới bắt đầu em tỉnh. Hôm qua em không uống cà phê thì em lại ngủ sớm hơn đấy, 1:30 hôm qua là em ngủ sớm rồi đấy.